Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles statue. It should hopefully be pretty straightforward. It's been a little while since I've made the statue tutorial. If you want to make it, here's what you're going to need. You will need some block of gold, some spruce wood, you will need some dark green wool, brown wool, you will also need some lime green, yellow, orange, and finally, you will need some cyan and dark blue. Unfortunately for us, we will be needing a couple more colours, but we'll just have to grab those as we need them later on. And by the way, I'm using cyan and dark blue because I'm making Leonardo. However, if you want to make Raphael, for instance, take away the blue and throw in red instead. And everywhere in the tutorial where I would use blue, use red. If you want to make Michelangelo, use orange. Donatello, use purple. You guys get the idea. Once you have every single one of your colours, and once you've figured out where you want to make it, I'm going to be making it right here. I'm probably just going to put the greens together and the browns together. Whoops. I'm going to be making it right here. Once you've got everything started, you're going to want to kick the statue off by doing this little sequence of colours in a row on the floor. Do 1 lime green, 2 dark green, 2 lime green, 2 dark green, 1 lime green, and that will be the base layer of our statue, those 8 blocks right there. Once you've got that, it's now time for us to continue up the legs. So for the second row of our statue, this is what you want to do. Very easy. Place a dark green block on the second block coming in from the ends of each row like that, and then just fill everywhere else in with lime green. Very easy. Next row, place 2 dark green in the 2 center spots of the row, and then lime green everywhere else. For the next row, do a solid layer of lime green wool. For the next row, do 4 lime green in the 4 center spots of the row, and then dark green everywhere else, just in those 4 remaining spaces. For the next row, do 1 solid row of dark blue. For the next 2 rows, do 2 solid rows of cyan wool, so 1 and 2. For the next 2 rows, do 2 solid rows of lime green. And 2. For the next row, do this. Do 2 lime green in the 2 center spots of the row, a single dark green either side of that lime green, and then just throw lime green out everywhere else. And for the 12th and final row of the legs, just do a solid row of lime green wool, to give you something which should look a little bit like this. I felt as though I went a little bit too fast with the legs, but they're actually really easy and you should be able to make them from this position if you had any trouble whilst we were making it. So pause this if necessary, of course. That is what you want for the legs. Let's move up to the torso, shall we? The torso is a little bit more difficult. We have the shell to make. So we're going to be doing this first row on top of the legs going from left to right. And you want to do these colours right here. Do 1 orange, 3 yellow, 1, 2, 3, 1 orange, 2 yellow, 1 orange. Like so. For the next row, do this. Do 2 orange in the 2 center spots of the row. Do a single spruce wood either side of the orange, then do brown next to the spruce wood, and then do yellow on the ends of the row. So you just want this. For the next row, we'll just build this going from left to right. We should probably do that with a lot of this actually. Going from left to right for the next row, do this. Do 2 spruce wood, 1, 2, 1 brown, 1 yellow, 1 block of gold, 1 brown, 2 spruce wood. For the next row, going from left to right again, do 2 brown, 1 spruce wood, 1 gold, 1 yellow, 1 spruce wood, 2 brown wool. Like so. And that is Leonardo's belt, by the way. We're going to do something kinda cool with that later on. It's going to look a lot better than it does now. For the next row, do 2 orange in the 2 center spots of the row, a single orange either side of the row, and then yellow everywhere else. Like so. For the next row, throw a single orange wool on the right center spot of the row and then throw yellow everywhere else. For the next row, throw a single orange wool on the ends of the row and then yellow everywhere else. For the next row, throw 2 orange on the ends of the row coming towards the center, 2 orange in the center, and then yellow everywhere else. For the next row, throw a single orange wool on the ends of the row, orange on the right center spot of the row, and then yellow everywhere else. The next row is just entirely yellow. Then, for the next row, you want a repeat of the previous row. You want orange on the right center spot, orange on the ends, and then yellow everywhere else. And now for the final row, just throw a single dark green on the ends of the row, and then just throw orange everywhere else, which should give you something which should look a little bit like this, and that is our turtle's entire torso. Kind of easy. Well, you know, it's a little mishmashy. Actually, it's probably a little more difficult, but that is what you want for the entire torso. Pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've got that taken care of, it's now time for us to move on to the arms. So we're going to start with the right arm over here. From this orange wool that we have here, from the first row of the torso, you want to go right of this orange wool with your lime green by 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then all we're going to do to complete these rows right here is we're just going to go from left to right on top of this row of lime green, and I'm just going to call out colours. So for instance, the second row, 1 dark green, 1 lime wool, 1 dark green, 1 lime wool. For the next row of the arm, do an entire row of dark blue. For the next row, do 1 dark blue, 1 cyan, 1 dark blue, 1 cyan. For the next row, do an entire row of lime green wool. For the next row, do 1 dark green, 1 lime wool, 1 dark green, 1 lime wool. For the next row, do an entire row of dark blue wool. For the next row, do 1 cyan, 1 dark blue, 2 cyan. For the next row, do an entire row of cyan wool. For the next row, do 1 dark green, 3 lime wool. For the next row, do 2 lime wool, 1 dark green, 1 lime wool. And finally, for the final row of the arm, just do an entire row of lime green. And if you've done that correctly, you should have something which should look exactly like this. Very simple. And once you've taken care of that right arm, pause this if necessary of course, we can go ahead and take care of the left arm. And the left arm is just a mirror of that right arm, by the way. So starting from this orange wool right here, almost lost my all, white here, do 4 lime green coming outwards from this orange. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then, for the second row of the arm, and again, just going from, well, we may as well go left to right again, I don't see why not. Going from left to right again, do 1 lime green, 1 dark green, 1 lime green, 1 dark green. For the next row, do an entire row of dark blue wool. For the next row, do 1 cyan, 1 dark blue, 1 cyan, 1 dark blue. For the next row, do an entire row of lime wool. For the next row, do 1 lime green, 1 dark green, 1 lime green, 1 dark green. For the next row, do an entire row of dark blue wool. For the next row, do 2 cyan, 1 dark blue, 1 cyan. For the next row, do an entire row of cyan wool. For the next row, do 3 lime green, 1 dark green. For the next row, do a single lime green, 1 dark green, 2 lime green. And for the 12th and final row of the arm, do an entire row of lime green wool, which should give you something which should look a little bit like this. Hang on, it's a little dark, let me solve this problem. So this is what you want to have for both of the arms. As I said, they are just completely identical, so odds are if you've managed to do the first one, you can probably take care of the second one, no problem. as always, pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've reached this point right here, it's now time for us to move on to the back of our statue. We're going to be making the head a little later on. So quite literally come around to the back of your statue, come down to the bottom of the feet, and do this. From each end of the feet, take out your lime green wool and drag the ends of the feet towards you by 2 blocks with your lime green, like that. Then do a single dark green behind those lime green, like so. Then, going from left to right, so from this dark green here, do 2 lime green, 2 dark green, 2 lime green, like that. So you've made the sides of your statue now, and you've also made the base for the back as well. Whilst we do have the sides, we're only going to be focusing on the back of our statue for now, so for now, just focus on these back 8 blocks. For the second row of the back of our statue, you want to have an entire row of dark green wool. See what I mean? Just build up on top of this back 8 blocks, just as we did the front. For the third row of the back of our statue, just do an entire row of lime green wool. For the fourth row of the back, do 2 lime green in the 2 center spots of the row, a single dark green either side of the lime, and then lime green everywhere else. For the next row, do an entire row of lime green wool. For the next row, do an entire row of dark blue wool. For the next 2 rows, do 2 solid rows of cyan wool. For the next row, do 2 dark green in the 2 center spots of the row, and then lime green everywhere else. For the next 3 rows, do 3 solid rows of lime green, so 1, 2, and 3. To give you something which should look a little bit like this. These are the entire back of our turtle's legs. Once you've taken care of that, and as always, pause this if necessary if you're still working on that of course, it's now time for us to move on to the actual back of our turtle. I never know what to call this because like, this is the back of the statue, but this is the back. The back of the back. The back. Anyway, moving on to the actual back, we can actually discard a couple of colours. What won't we need anymore? We won't need block of gold, and we also won't need yellow or orange, so you may just want to bump a couple of colours up, get rid of those, like that. We're also going to need a couple of new ones though. We will need black, and we will also need white, I think, and that will probably do us. I'm just going to bump up the colours again, just make them a little closer, makes it easier. So now we can actually do the back of the statue. For the next row, you want to do, I'm going to move black and dark green next to each other actually, just for simplicity's sake. For the next row, do 2 dark green in the 2 center spots of the row, black either side of the dark green, and then dark green everywhere else. For the next row, do 4 dark green in the 4 center spots of the row, and then black everywhere else. For the next row, do an entire row of spruce wood. For the row after that, do an entire row of brown wool. For the next row, going back to the greens, you want to do 2 dark green in the 2 center spots of the row, black either side of the green, and then green everywhere else. For the next row, do 4 dark green in the 4 center spots of the row, and then black everywhere else. You guys are going to see a recurring pattern here, by the way. For the next row, do 2 dark green in the 2 center spots of the row, then black wool either side of that dark green, and then dark green everywhere else. For the next row, place 2 black in the 2 center spots of the row, and then dark green everywhere else. For the next row, do 2 dark green in the 2 center spots of the row, black wool either side of the dark green, and then dark green everywhere else. For the next row, do 4 dark green in the 4 center spots of the row, and then black everywhere else. For the next row, do 2 dark green in the 2 center spots of the row, black either side of that dark green, and then dark green everywhere else. And now for the 12th and final row of the back, do 2 black in the 2 center spots of the row, and then dark green everywhere else, to give you something which should look a little bit like this. This is Leonardo's shell. Pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've taken care of that, we can now move on to the back of the arms. And by the way, that shell is going to become a little more 3D later on, don't worry. I know it's looking a little flat now, but we'll take care of all of that, as I said, a little later on. So, now to take care of the arms. The arms are actually really simple for us, and here's why. They are positioned exactly the same as they are on the front, and they are just a mirror image. So this is all you have to do to take care of the back of the arms. You look directly forward, and you just copy the blocks that are on the front of your statue. I'm not even looking at my plans currently. I'm just quite simply looking at the front of the statue, and I'm just copying what we have there. It is as easy as that. You don't need any plans or instructions or anything. Just take a look at the front of your statue and just copy the arms. Very easy indeed. That's the left arm taken care of. Let's move on to this arm, shall we? Again, the exact same strategy. The arms are in the same place, as you might imagine. The arms aren't jagged or wonky or anything. They're normal, even though the turtles are mutated. And all you have to do, just copy what you have. Really, really simple. Just a couple more rows, and there you go. Both of the arms intact, looking fantastic. So that is what you want for the back of the statue, arms included, legs included. That is what you want for the entire back. Pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've taken care of that, it's now time for us to move on to the sides of our statue. So coming over to the right hand side or left hand side of the statue, it depends how you look at it, but this side of the statue, and this is what's going to happen. On top of this left block here, the one closest towards the back of the statue, I'm just going to build up a vertical row of the side of the legs, and then I'm going to do the same with the right. I find it easiest this way to take care of the sides, and I'm also doing the same with the arms. So, on this side of the statue, going up on top of this left block, this is what you want to do. Do 1 dark green, 3 lime wool, 1, 2, 3, 2 dark blue, 1, 2, 1 cyan, 2 dark green, 1, 2, and then the rest of the row is just lime wool, which is just those 2 blocks right there. That's the first row. Let's take care of the second row. So for the second row, on top of this block right here, do 1 dark green, 1 lime wool, 1 dark green, 1 lime wool, 1 dark blue, 2 cyan, then the rest is just lime wool. It should be, what is that, 4 blocks? Yep, 4 lime wool. However, it doesn't matter, just the rest of it is lime wool. And there you go, that is the side of the first leg. Pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've taken care of that, it's now time for us to move up to the arm. So, coming up to the arm, this is what you want to do. First of all, fill in the bottom of the hands with lime wool, like this. We don't want any holes in our statue. Once you've filled in the bottom of the hand, knock out this left block here and replace it with dark green, like so. Now, building up on top of our dark green, this is what you want to do. Do 1 lime wool, 1 dark blue, 1 cyan, 2 lime green, 1 dark blue, 2 cyan, 2 dark green, and finally 1 lime green, to give you something which should look like this. And luckily for us, the row directly next to it is a direct copy, so for the right row, just copy exactly what you have on the left. Very simple indeed, so I'm just doing that. So you just want to have this for the entire side of the arm. Pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've taken care of that, all we have to do now is just fill in the top of the shoulder, and you just need to fill the top of the shoulder in completely with lime green wool. And let me just show you what the entire side of the statue wants to look like just before we fade out. You know what, as a matter of fact, it's a little too dark. I'll be back in a moment to show you this side of the statue. So that is what you want for the entire side of your statue. As always, pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've taken care of that, we can now move on to the other side. and the other side is extremely easy. Remember what we did with the back of the arms, how we just like looked forward and copied the front? Yeah, this is exactly what we're doing now, except we're just looking across to the other side, and we are just copying what we see. Can you guys see what I'm doing? Very, very easy. Just copy directly what you've just done from that side of the statue onto this side. Really easy, and you should notice completely identical. Very simple. Moving up to the arm. So, if it's not obvious, I'm not going to give you guys any instruction for this side of the statue. As I've said a couple of times now, whoops, did that wrong. A couple of times now, you just have to look directly forward at the other side of your statue and just copy what you have. And if you get stuck at any point, quite honestly, all you have to do is just go and have a bit of a gander at the other side of your statue and just see if it's right. So, as you can see, there you go. This side of the statue, 100% completely done, identical to the other side, just to give you guys a bit of a look. As I said, if you get stuck, just run over to this side of your statue, assuming that you've managed to make it, and just copy it from this side directly if for some reason you can't see in front of you. Yeah, you have more problems than not being able to copy a statue if you can't see in front of you, I suppose. But there you go, that is both sides of your statue 100% completo. All we have to do now is the head of our turtle. So come to the front of your statue and come up to the very top of the torso. On top of these 8 blocks of the torso right here, you want to stack a row of 8 dark green, like this. In front of that row of dark green, you want to do 2 solid rows of lime green wool, coming towards you in front of that dark green, like that. On top of this second row of lime green, we're going to build the face of our turtle. So this is what you want to do for the second row of the face. This lime green wool, this entire row of lime green is the first row of the face. So for the second row, do 4 dark green in the 4 center spots of the row, and then lime green everywhere else. That is row number 2. Really easy. For the next row, do a single dark green on the ends of the row, and then lime green wool everywhere else in the center. For the next row, do 2 dark blue in the 2 center spots of the row, do a single black wool either side of the dark blue, do white either side of the black, then do dark blue on the ends just to finish off the row, like so. For the next row, you pretty much want to copy the previous row, except on the ends of the row where you have dark blue, you just want to place cyan. So copy everything from the previous row except the ends, just throw cyan on there, like that. For the next row, you just want to do 2 cyan in the 2 center spots of the row, you want to do black on top of the black and white of the previous row, and then you just want to throw cyan wool everywhere else. For the next row, do cyan on top of the black of the previous row, like that, and then just do lime green wool everywhere else, like that. For the next row, the final row it would seem, this is going quicker than I expected, going from left to right, this is what you want to do. Do 2 lime green, 1 dark green, 4 lime green, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1 dark green to give you something which should look a little bit like that. There you go, that is Leonardo's entire face. Pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've taken care of that, it's now time for us to move on to the rest of the head, as I just mess about with my plans so I can actually see them stalling a little bit. There we go, so moving on to the rest of the head, come round to the back of the head here, and where we have this row of dark green wool that started off the entire head, this is what you want to do. First of all, you want to add on another layer of dark green coming towards the back of the statue, so you now have 2 rows of dark green. You then want to do 4 solid rows of lime green wool, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, and 4. The entire aim of that is basically just to have 2 overhanging lime green rows coming over the back of the statue. Just to give you a bit of a side view, that is exactly what you want to have. Very easy. Once you've done that, we can now move on to the back of the head. We're going to be building up the back of the head very much like we just built up the front of the head. So this is what you want to do for the back of the head. Knock out these 4 middle blocks here in the lime green wall and replace them with dark green. That's the first order of business. Next order of business, unfortunately, is going from left to right on top of the second row and doing this sequence of blocks. Do 1 lime wool, 1 cyan, 1 dark blue, 2 dark green, 1 dark blue, 1 cyan, 1 lime green. Unfortunately for us, the back of the head is quite detailed. So for the next row, again, going from left to right, do 1 dark green, 2 cyan, 1 dark blue, 1 dark green, 1 dark blue, 1 cyan, 1 dark green. For the next row, do 2 dark blue, 1 cyan, 2 dark blue, 2 cyan, 1 dark blue. For the next row, do 2 cyan, 2 dark blue, 2 cyan, 1 dark blue, 1 cyan. For the next row, do 3 cyan, 1 dark blue, 1 cyan, 1 dark blue, 2 cyan. For the next row, do 2 lime green, 1 cyan, 2 dark blue, 1 cyan, 1 dark green, 1 lime green. And for the 8th and final row of the back of the head, do 1 lime green, 1 dark green, and then make the rest of the row lime green wool to give you something which should look exactly like this. Very easy indeed. Once you've done that, as always, pause this if necessary, of course. And by the way, I said very easy indeed, but that was just out of habit. That's not easy. That is just an absolute mess of colours. Once you've done that, pause this if necessary, of course. We can take care of the sides of the head now. So coming over to the right hand side of the head, or left hand side, depending on what perspective you look at, this is what you want to do. And we're going to be doing the sides of the head the exact same way that we've been doing everything, going from left to right, just building up the rows. So for the second row of the side of the head, this is what you want to do, going from left to right. Do 1 dark green, 2 lime wool, 2 dark green, 1 lime wool. For the next row, do an entire row of dark green wool. For the next row, do an entire row of dark blue wool. For the next row, do 4 dark blue. Yep, thought I did that then. 4 dark blue, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 2 cyan. For the next row, do an entire row of cyan wool. For the next row, do 2 lime green, 1 dark green, 3 lime green. For the next row, do 5 lime green, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 1 dark green, to give you something which should look exactly like this. This is the entire side of the head, as always. Pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've taken care of this one side, it's now time for us to go and take care of the other side of the head. So, luckily for us, once more, just as we did with the sides of the statue and with the back of the arms, all we have to do to take care of this side of the head is look directly in front of us at what we have literally just done and copy it, which is exactly what I've done. As I've been talking, I have completely taken care of this side of the head. Assuming that you did manage to do the other side of the head correctly, there you go. Second side of the head 100% completo. Once you've taken care of that, pause if necessary of course, all you have to do now is take care of the top of the head, which, for all intents and purposes, is, as a matter of fact, this might be a lie. Give me a moment, gentlemen. Oh no, I'm right. For all intents and purposes, is just completely lime wool. I thought there was some patterning up here, but there isn't. So, just fill the entire top of the head in with lime green wool. And there you go. You have done the entire head of the statue. I hate doing the heads. The heads are always the most complicated part. Really do despise doing them. The darkness is crawling in, so we can't 100% complete our statue at this point. But once you have taken care of the head, pause this if necessary, of course, we can then move on to the finishing touches. So I will be back in a moment once we have the daylight again. We do have a couple of things left to do. So once you guys have reached this point right here, all we have to do now are add a few bits of detail there and about the statue. I figure we may as well start with the most complicated part, which is on the back of the head here. So come round to the back of the head, and you may notice, I'm not sure if you guys will be able to tell what this is, but you can see where we have like these fallen bits of blue here, like the blue and the cyan. Well, that's actually like the back of the mask. You know how all the turtles wear like a face mask, and like it ties in a knot at the back, and you've got like the left and right hand side that kind of like dangles down? Well, this is what these bits of blue are here. And we're just going to make this bit 3D just because it makes it look a little bit more, well, a little bit more realistic. It makes it look a little bit better. So let me just show you. I'm just going to do it and then show you guys the end result, and then you guys can of course decide whether or not you want to do it for yourselves. Of course, all of these bits are optional extras. You could just take the statue as it is, completely up to you of course, but I think that quite a few of these bits do make the statue look a little bit better. I do like it when statues have like 3D components like this. As you guys can see, that's like where the knot would be, and where the left and the right hand side bits of fabric could just like, you know, fall down next to each other. I think it looks pretty cool. And if you want the same, there you go, that is all you have to do. Pause this if necessary, of course. Once you've taken care of that, if you want to take care of that, here's what you may want to do next. So, where we have the shell here, you know how it's all flat in the statue now? Well, you may want to extend it out by one block, just to make it look, well, a bit more shell-like, really. You just may want to do this. Just raise out every single block of the shell by one, and it'll just make it look a bit more real. It'll make it look, in my opinion, a little bit better. The wood is really irritating to place on this. I hate you, spruce wood. I hate you so much. Come on. There we go. It actually relatively behaved itself. When I was doing this on my own statue, I had no end of trouble placing that. I should have placed it first, really. But just quickly going around the whole shell, placing each of one colour, probably the best way to do it instead of just building it up in layers. It's a lot less thoughtless, so just going all around, building up the shell in layers, just about done, and there it is. The shell now looks a little bit more 3D. It makes it look a little bit better, I think. Because the shell isn't, like, directly molded to the turtle's body. It does pop out a little bit. And I'm just looking at the shell now, actually, and thinking that you could make it look even more 3D. This isn't actually part of the original plan, but I'm just thinking, like, if you were to go around like this, maybe. This is just off the top of my head, guys, so this may or may not look absolutely terrible. I can't tell you. Let me see. So maybe here and here, have these 4 blocks at the bottom, perhaps. Yeah, this isn't part of the original plans. I was just thinking it doesn't look entirely shell-like as we see it now. Oh wait, I've done it a little bit differently on the bottom here, so I had it taper up a little bit more on the top, so it'd be a little bit more like this, yeah, and then we just fill these bits in, and you could layer it even more after this is done. Let's see how this looks, shall we? I'm sorry to just kind of spring this on, but I think this might look a little better than what I had planned, so let me just see. There's black that just goes in there. It does look a little bit more shell-like. I mean, because of the body, it makes it look kind of weird, like a little square-like. So maybe if you molded the shell underneath, so like if you knocked off these blocks here, and if you knocked off these 3, just like the 3 on the corners, like this, maybe it'll look a little better because you do have the shell underneath. That looks kind of cool, right? Yeah, I think that looks better. So if you just wanted to do that, I think that looks kind of cool. Hopefully you guys can see what I've done. I think that that's a definite improvement. I think that looks really cool. I think that that's definitely better than just adding the extra layer of well, the shell coming out of the back. I think that that looks kind of cool. But of course that's up to you guys, and of course you could layer it even more if you wanted to add an extra layer, but I think that, well, that looks like a shell. That almost definitely looks better to me, but there you go, that's something that you might want to do with the shell. You may want to play around with it a little bit. Let's take a look from the side, shall we? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. So you may want to do that with the shell, you may not want to, completely up to you. The last bit of detail that you may want to do is on the front here with the belt, and you're just going to need to grab your belt colours again. You'll need brown, spruce wood, gold and yellow, and you may or may not want to do this. You may just want to raise out the blocks of the belt as I'm doing now. I'll show you guys how it looks. It's kind of like the same idea with both the mask and the back of the shell, because I was thinking after I made the statue, it was all flat obviously, all of the statues start off flat, and I was just thinking like, there are bits of the turtle which do kind of like overhang, like the front of the belt does, like this, and of course the shell and the back of the mask and what have you. But yeah, I think that if you extend out the belt, except of course the most two outer rows, I probably wouldn't bother doing that. It makes it look a little weird. Like with this, it's kind of the same principle with the mask. It's kind of like you just want the most outer part overhanging. You want the illusion that the belt is like wrapping around something rather than just like a big giant square belt. But there you go, that's what you might want to have for the belt. And that's pretty much the entire detail repertoire completely gone. Those are all of my ideas. I did also briefly think about whether or not to mess about with like the pads, like the coloured cloth that they tie around their their knees and their arms and what have you. I thought about messing about with that a little more, but I decided to leave it. But anyway, that is the statue tutorial 100% complete. Look at the back. The back looks so much cooler now. Oh, I really like that. The statue tutorial is 100% complete at this point. There is nothing left for me to show you. Thanks for watching, guys, and hopefully you did really have an easy enough time making this. It has been quite a while since I've made a statue. And just as a side note, I think that I wasn't going to do this, but I think I will, as a matter of fact. I'm going to, if you want to hang on a little longer, I'm going to make 3 more turtles, and I'm going to place them all next to Leonardo. I think I'm going to make every single one of them, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael, just place them next to each other. If you want to see it, see what turtles you might want to make if you want to make them. Back in a moment, or maybe I won't put my voice over it. I might not talk over it, I'll just show you the turtle. So again, thanks for watching, see you in the next video. I'll just show you a clip of it, I won't bother talking.